You really need to be someone with like a really competitive, resilient, tenacious attitude who loves the creativity and loves winning so much that you can tolerate the rejection. I think this profession is the best. Like, I would challenge you to say, find someone else you've interviewed who truly, truly loves what they do. And
welcome to the Job Dictionary podcast. Today, I have the honor of interviewing Dana Gasiorowski about what it's like to work as a flavorist at IFF. Dana, welcome.
thank you. Thank you so much. Um, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm really excited to have you on. And Dana, three questions that we'd like to start off with is, in your own words, what do you do? Where do you live? And as a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Okay, the first one's super easy. I make things taste great. So yeah, I'm a flavorist. I'm actually principal flavorist at IFF in South Brunswick, New Jersey. So where is that located? That's located in central New Jersey, close to Princeton area. So there are a lot of academics around here. There are a lot of research companies, a lot of tech companies, so both in computers and flavors. And it's a great place to be located. So yeah. And what did I want to do as a child? I actually wanted to do three different things. I wanted to be a horse trainer because I loved horses. I thought I would teach piano because I love to play piano. And then I wanted to be involved in international business. And actually, only one of those things came true, and that's the international business part.
Gotcha. Yeah. So no horses being
I,
a.
I ride for fun now, but I'm not training horses for money, no.
Gotcha. And Dana, how long have you been working in the field?
So I've been a flavorist for about 25 years now.
Gotcha. And tell us a little bit more about your path to become a flavorist. What made you get into it, and how did you first get your start?
So my path is unique, much like any other flavorist you may get a chance to talk to in your life. So we all have a unique path, ultimately resulting in becoming a tastemaker for the food industry. So my path started out in my undergrad school. I went to York College of Pennsylvania. It's a small liberal arts
Yeah.
college where I really blossomed into a researcher. So I thought I was going to be a doctor. So I majored biology pre-med at York College. I did research in microbiology.
Yeah.
And my first interesting exposure to the science of flavors happened there. So I was growing some microbes that I isolated, and I'm very curious about smell. And I opened a petri dish one day and I got the odor of a bacteria and it smelled like grapes. So I ended up using that type of indicator. I know it's not the safest, but if I smelled grapes, I knew a very specific type of bacteria was growing. And this was for public health research. So that resulted in me ending up, I graduated, I stayed with research. I went to an environmental chemistry company and gained skills in isolating different molecules from natural products. So I would isolate molecules from dirt and mud, animals and plants, looking for toxins and things like that in the environment. That wasn't so much fun. And an opportunity. So in my mind, I really wanted to stay in medicine and understanding the human body. So I applied to Johns Hopkins University,
Mm-hmm.
graduate school there. And back then, biotechnology was just taking off. So I wanted to get a master's degree in biotechnology, and Hopkins accepted me. But at the same time, I landed a job at McCormick and Company in Baltimore,
Yeah.
Maryland. So that's a spice company. That was my first major pivot into foods, food ingredients, and flavors. I had never taken a food science course in my life. So from there, I went to McCormick, McCormick allowed me to go to graduate school at the same time. And that started an 18-year career at McCormick, where I had 8 different jobs that evolved from research all the way to flavor design. And from there, about 10 years ago, I transferred to IFF, International Flavors and Fragrances in New Jersey. And I've been focused on beverage flavors ever since.
Gotcha. And you kind of mentioned a little bit, you kind of have an unconventional path to your job right now, but are there certain degrees or certifications that you think are truly required to get this job?
So we're actually starting the school. We have an internal flavor school here at IFF that comes up every few years. And the things I look for, I'm lucky enough to be a teacher at the school.
Uh-huh.
I look for students that have a science background, whether that be a biology degree, chemistry degree, food science, chemical engineering, even chefs. We've had chefs
Yeah.
like from Johnson and Wales and from the Culinary Institute apply for a position. So I do look for some scientific background, but I'm really also looking for a great deal of creativity.
Gotcha. And are there any job titles that this position is also known for? You mentioned flavorist, but are there any more?
So I'm a principal flavorist. That means I've been in the industry for quite a while, and I've gotten to a certain level of mastery in what I do. But other jobs would be flavor chemist, and then flavorist. I would say it goes up from there. So sometimes we have a trainee flavorist to an associate flavorist to a working flavorist, and then it can go up to senior, master, vice president. And so it's a lifelong path once you start on the trainee path that can last your lifetime. And that's pretty unique about this career.
Gotcha. And what does a day in the a day in the life look like for a flavorist, right? Like what time do you start? What time do you end? Is
Okay.
most of your time maybe when you as a principal flavorist in meetings versus actually hands-on? And
Yeah.
is it kind of a hybrid model?
I would say when you're a trainee, you and an associate, so early in your career, let's say the first like 7 years of your career, you would start tasting raw materials every day. We meet, so I have a team of 6 designers that I work with, and we meet every morning. We talk about the briefs and the tasks we have for our different flavors that we're designing. And we discuss challenges, we support each other. It's a lot of collaboration, but I don't sit still very much. I'm up and tasting throughout the whole entire day. So I'll start at 9 o'clock. Sometimes I come in very early at 7 o'clock, and I'll start tasting. So my taste buds are ultra fresh. And from there, I take notes, we make adjustments. But I could be tasting a variety of different things throughout the day. So every like 20 minutes, I'm up and about. I do have meetings. The farther along your career path, obviously, the more meetings
Uh,
you're having because you are managing
right.
a few other people. But in general, it's a very active career.
Gotcha. And tell me a little bit more about like the taste buds and is there a way like you kind of reset them throughout the day? Obviously, I'm sure you have a really way in advanced palate than most people. But how does that work?
So actually the physiology of taste and flavor is very interesting. On your tongue, you have a bunch of different types of cells, some of which are specific for sweet and bitter. Others are special channels that allow salt in and allow acid in. So on your tongue, you taste. So taste for us means sweet, sour, bitter, umami, which is the taste of savoriness. There's some other tastes that are specific. But when we start talking about things like strawberries and cherries and the smell of roasted coffee, that all happens up here in your nose. And
Oh,
directly, like about an inch from here, is this organ that we all have that was affected by COVID. A lot of people had it affected, but it's
yeah.
the nasal gland. And in that gland are receptors, so cells, that identify thousands of different molecules. And when those molecules all are triggered at different ratios, you recognize them in your brain as a fruit or a piece of meat or a cheese. And it's a direct connection right to your brain. So my job entails a lot of my nose and
Yeah.
some taste elements, especially in beverages around sweet and acid.
Yeah. So when, when you have a cold and when your nose is a little stuffy, it's like an athlete having a sprained ankle or like a knee injury, right? It's like you
Yeah,
can't.
actually, I'm on Allegra. It's springtime right now in New Jersey, so I keep my nose nice and clean. But you can use saline mist. I sleep with a humidifier on. That really helps keep my nasal passages open. But yeah, if you've got a cold, it's really tough. But we usually step up and taste each other's experiments if someone's not feeling that great.
Gotcha, gotcha. And what specific task do you spend most of the day doing?
So as a principal, I would say 40% of my day is evaluating my team's designs. So I'm in the process of training people early in their career. I also have some partners that are mid-career. And depending on what the project is and how challenging it might be, I spend a lot of time tasting their designs and then giving them advice on how to move closer to the target.
Gotcha. And for a flavorist, what does that percentage look like?
So for a more junior flavorist, they
Yeah,
spend at least 80% of their day designing.
gotcha. And then tell me, what tools or technologies do you use as part of your job? Obviously, you might, and tools might mean, what physical tools are you engaging with?
So the physical tools we use are obviously computer. We're very much computer based. Our software systems that help us formulate are on the computer. The sensory systems where we're evaluating how things taste, those are also on computers. I know you guys that the food science departments and things like that, they're very advanced now with voice operated feedback, things like that. It's amazing, those tools. But actually in the lab, the types of tools we use are, we use scales that are electronic scales. They let us weigh things out down to very low levels. We use beakers. We use uh, all sorts of, so like beakers, pipettes, which are these little droppers that allow us to weigh things out very carefully. We use mixing tools, so tools that allow us to mix solutions together. Um,
Hmm.
of course, we wear lab jackets. I actually have my safety glasses here. So safety is really important in our
For sure.
lab. So we wear gloves, safety glasses, and lab coats too.
Gotcha. Yeah, taking me back to high school for sure. Um, I'm a business major right now, but I did miss all the chemistry and all the bio labs. Um, and Dana, tell me, obviously, like I can just tell the way you just talk about this job, it's with a lot of excitement. So tell me, what parts of your job do you find most exciting and are interesting to you?
I would say the most exciting part of my job is when I can have my customers be delighted and enthusiastic and excited for new product that my company, that my team helped design. So when I get to go to a grocery store or I go out to a venue and I get to see a new beverage on in the grocery store or a new product that I worked on. I obviously can't talk about it because it's very private relationship between us and the customer,
Yeah.
but I love inside and it's incredibly addictive. So when we meet our customers' expectations and they're like, yes, this is the exact strawberry we're looking for. And they're like, we want to buy it. We're going to put in this new product. And then what's even best is sometimes I go on Instagram or TikTok and I look and see if anyone's posting about how much they love the new product. And it just feels really good inside. So it's like I know it's very narcissistic to feel that way, but I'm so proud of the work that we do and seeing it land very successfully in the marketplace.
Absolutely. And it's a team effort, right? There's a lot of pride in that.
Oh, 100%. We may construct the design and the formula, but behind me stands regulatory teams. Behind me stands quality assurance teams. The guys in the plant that actually are making these things, they're all critical to a successful launch. So, and of course, the salespeople and the business people, you could come into our world too. But in general, it is a team effort, and there's a reason we are a multi-billion-dollar company focused on very small part of a food product. So in the percentages level. So we're not supplying sugar, we're not supplying salt. We are supplying those unique technologies that really help differentiate the product at the end of the day.
Gotcha. And Dana, tell me what parts of the job are maybe harder, emotionally challenging, or boring for you,
So
or for other people?
I feel a great deal of, so my mentors in the past were, I call them servant leaders. So leaders that prioritize the development of their reports, and I lead that way as well. So for me, I really feel a great deal of sincerity around the paths my team is taking, the opportunities I give them. Look for really cool projects to keep everyone engaged, because I work with a lot of really smart people. And when you have that level of creativity and intelligence, they're restless and they often want to be challenged. So my job, the biggest challenge, is to look for the best challenge, to look for the bigger challenges and to keep them learning. That's something that I love, challenges. It gets me up in the morning, but it is a lot.
In the office, when you go home, do you have to take some?
Um, we have an excellent work-life balance here at IFF. I'm very
Mhm.
grateful for that. If I want to go home and put it away, I can. Do I? For me personally, I'm most creative between the hours of 10 o'clock at night and 2 in the morning.
Gotcha.
So
Yeah.
actually, I often see my friends in Asia come onto the team site and light up, and I can wish them a very good morning. But that's just me. I would not expect that from the rest of my team. So can I put my work away? I can. I actually just love what I do so much. It's like my hobby.
I
So
love that.
home, I have so many ideas, and I really like the quiet of being able to put them down in the early evening. But I get a solid like 4 hours of sleep, 5 hours a night.
Gotcha. And is it, I'm sure most of the for a flavorist, right? You're typically at the office when you're actually engaging with, all the experimenting and all the mixing that you're doing. But are there hybrid models or remote models common in the flavors industry?
I would say there are some hybrid opportunities. For instance, at our company, our team is allotted a certain amount of time every year that they can work from home. So we have to stay up on regulatory issues. We have to stay up on ethics training, things like that.
Mm.
And those are things our team can do from home. As you go higher up in the organization, for instance, if I hit vice president one day, I will be able to spend a couple of days a week just at my house because the meetings become so significant. Um, but in general, this is kind of an anchor job. So you should be at the bench, you should be in your lab. I can't taste virtually yet, that technology doesn't exist.
Yeah,
So for now, I would say 80% of the people that do what we do, they work in a laboratory.
gotcha. And are there any busy seasons to this job? Like are there parts of the year that are busiest?
I would say for each customer, so we are at the whim of our customers. So,
Hmm.
as you know, being in business, there's certain companies that close out their books in June, certain companies, and their development cycles are different. I would say in the world of beverages, there are some things in North America that really drive beverage launches, and you could probably think about what those moments are. So holidays,
Hmm.
obviously, are often a change of flavor profile. Big sporting events. So if you talk about like the Super Bowl, a lot of new things get launched around that period of time as
Yeah.
well. So based on that, that may be a 2 to 3 year development cycle with the ultimate goal of doing Super Bowl 2030, so there are, it's very much a pipeline based business, and it does happen to revolve around the seasons.
Gotcha. And what do people underestimate about being a flavorist?
Hmm. I think people may underestimate the stress level. I might seem like super excited. I am super excited. I am super energized, but this career does require a very high tolerance for rejection. They say that the average flavorist say makes 100 flavors, only 5 of them see the light of day. So that means the other 95, someone
Yeah.
ripped it apart. And it could be you ripping it apart before it even gets sent to the client, or it can be the client saying this sucks or this isn't good. So that's very stressful. And I think you really need to be someone with like a really competitive, resilient, tenacious attitude who loves the creativity and loves winning so much that you can tolerate the rejection. So and the deadlines can be very stressful as well. So we have deadlines like create the next best amazing flavor in 3 weeks. And our flavors may include 60 different natural ingredients. So that's a lot to manage in 3 weeks.
Right.
So timelines, stress, and then rejection. Yep.
Gotcha. And, that is a very wonderful insight. And is there something that people maybe overestimate about this profession?
Um, I don't know. I think this profession is the best. Like, I would challenge you to say, find someone else you've interviewed who truly, truly loves what they do. And I feel blessed to do what I do every single
Mhm.
day. I'm really blessed to have gotten that opportunity to take this path career wise. So yeah, I would say the sky's the limits. Yeah, I get to taste things and eat things and experience cool stuff all day long, every day of my workday. So for that, I'm very grateful.
That's awesome. And then I'm like, let's say I'm convinced, right? What is the fastest way for me to get into this profession, right? Especially if I'm somebody who comes from a non-traditional background and I just need to get my foot in the door.
Okay, so my advice to you is this. Go find a flavor company, and you can do that by logging on to the Society of Flavor Chemists
Okay.
or an organization called FEMA, that's the Flavor Extract Manufacturers Association of America, and identify flavor houses, and then start stalking their career sites for jobs in quality assurance, like tasting, they need tasters, and also jobs in as a flavorist assistant. It's a low-level laboratory job, but you have to spend 5 years working with a flavorist before you can even test into the Society of Flavor Chemists. So after that, you have 2 more years before you can even test to be certified. So yeah, find yourself a flavor house. If not, go on LinkedIn, find some flavorists and connect with them. Most of the flavorists I know, even my competitors, are really nice people and very warm and very enthusiastic about the career. And we will go above and beyond if someone reaches out to us and wants to learn more about the opportunities in our field.
Absolutely. And Dana, you are here, in this interview because I reached out to you on LinkedIn. So it goes to show, how willing you are to help out.
Yeah,
Right.
if I knew about this career earlier in my academic career, I would have maybe taken a few food science classes. But in general, I wouldn't change anything. I'd say to any of you out there that have a unique degree or even a common degree, and you are interested in this field, reach out to a flavorist and really create a mentorship relationship with them. And perhaps it will stick, but it is a significant commitment. So please spend time or anticipate spending time working for a flavorist before you make the big dive.
Gotcha. And Dana, obviously you've mentioned it a little bit, but in your opinion, what does somebody have to be good at and like doing in order to be good at this job? Like, what has to come easily to you?
Okay, so I would say a flavorist has to be a blend of creative, analytical, like attention to detail, pretty good at mathematics, love food, love different tastes of food, um, uh, and enthusiastic, resilient. So a lot of the flavorists that are in this career have backgrounds in not only science, but they also have a history of being a great sportsman, a great musician, a great artist, grew up on a farm, and they work really, really hard every day. It's that type of grit that I really look for, and that type of creativity and collaborative team spirit.
That's awesome. And is how long does it take for somebody to get really good at being a flavorist?
I think it was Malcolm Gladwell who wrote that, it's like a 17-year process for mastery. I think it was 17. Don't quote me on that one. Read his books. But in general, I would say it took me until about 20 years before I felt like I could do it in my sleep. Like I truly understood the language, I truly could design rapidly. And so I've really, I worked hard and learned and learned and learned and failed and learned more. It took about 20 years. Yeah.
Gotcha. And how many years did it take for you to gain confidence, maybe after those first couple of years?
I would say about 8 years in, I was pretty confident in what I could offer my customers. Yeah.
Gotcha. And Dana, tell us a little bit more about the structure of a flavorist promotion path, right? Like, what does a typical promotion path look like from entry to the highest, level you can hold, and about like how much time do you spend at each level?
Okay, so first I'm gonna preclude this by saying every company is different. So I'm gonna reference the companies I'm aware of. Traditionally, a trainee may have that role for between 2 and 5 years. And then from there, they would move to an associate or a flavorist one position, at which time they'd spend 3 to 5 years there. Then from there, they might move to a flavorist role where they'd spend another 5 years. Then senior could be the rest of their career. So senior level could be something someone accomplishes in their late 30s and ride out until they retire. A select group of individuals moves on to a master or principal position. And then in some organizations, you can move all the way up to a vice president when you're working at a global level. So those steps are not guaranteed. So after senior, it really becomes more difficult to reach the principal and the vice president levels.
Gotcha. And what is the average salary for someone at each level? And you can provide a range as well.
Okay, I will provide a range. First and foremost, this career, the salary levels change depending on what region of the country you live in. So
Gotcha.
obviously, I live in a very expensive area of the country to live in.
Mhm.
So those scales can be very different. I would say in the beginning, you're going to be under a six-figure salary. But as you progress through your career, you will make a six-figure salary and continue to grow significantly up to where you'll become in the top, say, 10% of the earners in the United. The salary levels change depending on what region of the country you live in. So
Gotcha.
obviously, I live in a very expensive area of the country to live in.
Mhm.
So those scales can be very different. I would say in the beginning, you're going to be under a six-figure salary. But as you progress through your career, you will make a six-figure salary and continue to grow significantly up to where you'll become in the top, say, 10% of the earners in the United States.
Gotcha. That's awesome. And Dana, tell me, for most companies, do they obviously you have clients, right? And that's kind of clients come to you, they want a flavor, they are thinking about launching a certain product and they need your help, right? Do most companies have internal flavorists, or do you feel like a lot of companies, kind of delegate, those tasks to flavor companies like yours?
So I would say the global companies tend to have internal flavor team that advises them on the flavors they're receiving from suppliers such as IFF. So they maintain the quality, the raw material stream. So yes, the big food companies tend to have internal team of flavorists. For the mid-size and smaller tier entrepreneurial companies, they come to IFF, and we can supply them with the complete beverage recipe that they may need. And so we can
Yeah.
develop from the most like ground up, or we can supply only very specific pieces. So it really has to deal with some organizations, might be a venture capital owned beverage company where they don't have a lab, we can be their lab. So there are different levels of service depending on what our customers need.
Gotcha. And when people, you kind of mentioned, are there, you know, certain careers that people come from into when, let's say, switching into being a flavorist? Do you see themes of where people are coming from, typically making that career switch?
So I do see a lot of, or it's a variety. So I have some people on my staff that have pharmaceutical backgrounds. I have some people on my staff that are food science backgrounds. There's chefs that became flavorists. I have individuals that came from the fragrance industry and they've become flavorists. And I came from the medicine, the human biology.
Yeah.
So there are people from all different typical career paths. There are a lot more doctors out there than there are flavorists. So there are only about 400 flavorists in the certified flavorists in the world. So it's a very rare group of individuals.
Gotcha. And are there any fields that people move on to after being a flavorist that you see themes of?
Yeah, sometimes people get the opportunity to move into upper levels of leadership, like executive leadership, where they would be head of a research and development team. We've had a couple of flavorists move into a sales role, where they really wanted more contact with the customer. So, but the majority of us stay the path throughout our career because it is so amazing.
Gotcha. Gotcha. And Dana, tell me, what books, resources, programs would you recommend to somebody who really wants to be a flavorist, right? And are there any that maybe are popular that you would not recommend?
I would say if someone's very interested, they should read Flavor Creation. I believe John Wright wrote that book. It's a very reasonable read, and it talks about the broad elements of what it is to create a flavor and the types of skills that are needed. I do recommend fully an individual who's interested in flavors go on to the FEMA, the Flavor Extracts Manufacturers Association website, and there's a lot of different articles about our industry, as well as information to understand the opportunities. And then, of course, the Society of Flavor Chemists, which is a North American society that's recognized globally for our certification. Once you become certified, that's kind of the gold standard to know that you've met the expectations of being a flavorist.
Awesome. And Dana, here, transitioning into our last official question, and I think it's one of my favorite ones that we do get to ask, is what would you tell your younger self when you were at the beginning of your career?
I would tell myself to dream about what makes you happy, to look for every opportunity that sounds a little wonky, So I really thought I was going to be in medicine or environmental chemistry, and then a job opening opened up to work in spices. And I thought, why not? Like, let me try it. And it's the best choice I ever made. So for me, don't be afraid to fail, be brave, take those opportunities, expand your network. Like, don't just hang out with your business buddies, hang out with some of the people from the science department, get to know the professors in passing. When you're on an airplane, I know people hate this, figure out who's sitting next to you, and
Yeah.
they have a really cool career path, because it's not until you meet people in unique careers that you even think, oh yeah, someone must do that for a living. So yeah, be curious.
Awesome. Thank you, Dana. And Dana, where can people reach out to you or follow along with your work?
Oh, well, that's very easy, except for the spelling of my last name. Feel free to reach out to me or search for me on LinkedIn. My name is Dana Gasiorowski. I work for IFF. And then you can also just search keyword flavorist and you'll see a bunch of us pop up. But if you have any further questions, you want to expand your network into this type of industry, feel free to reach out to me anytime.
Awesome. Dana, thank you so much. And thank you so much for joining us with so much enthusiasm to tell us about what it's like to be a flavorist.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me, and have a great day.
Thank you.
You just got one episode closer to learning about the world of jobs out there. To explore the rest of our career categories and find your best fit, go to jobdictionary.com to sign up for the beta users waitlist. Then subscribe here to find the next episodes coming out this week. And as always, drop us a comment, review, or message to let us know how we can better attune our episodes to your specific needs. Follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, X, Threads, Pinterest, and wherever else you're on socials to go get our short, snappy preview reels that expose you to new job options every day. Because here at Job Dictionary, we believe your big aha moment can be just one scroll away. Go check it out and get out there. Cheers!